on Saturday, right? Because whenever I get I can look at it in my physical. Other than that, way above my side.
Show it to her.
Let me see over here, bud.
There's a bathroom this way. Let's go.
Lanzada desde la nave nodriza Caballero Blanco, la nave Spaceship 1, que está propulsada a cohete, y sus pilotos ascendieron hasta más allá de la atmósfera y se lanzaron al espacio, pero no en órbita. Y se deslizaron con seguridad hacia la Tierra, y el viaje duró aproximadamente 24 minutos, con 3 minutos de órbita con falta de peso. Con esta nave, las empresas privadas cruzaron el umbral del vuelo humano en el espacio, que era antes el dominio de programas del gobierno. La nave apunta a ser una forma simple, robusta y confiable que permita hacer viajes posiblemente turísticos y al alcance de mucha más gente.
Construction and testing. These two skilled composites achieve what only 3 of the most powerful governments in the world have done before. For putting them in space. And to get away from the bombs and
Esto que estábamos viendo es una reproducción de la nave Viking, que fue la primera nave espacial para operar en la superficie de Marte. Se lanzaron 2 Vikings, el primero para llevar a cabo estudios científicos prolongados en la superficie de otro planeta. El Viking primero empezó su viaje de 10 meses a Marte en agosto de 1975. El Viking 2 lo siguió el 9 de septiembre. Después de entrar en una órbita en Marte, las naves espaciales orbitaron llevando a cabo misiones fotográficas del planeta para ayudar a la investigación, para ver sitios seguros de aterrizaje. El Viking 1 aterrizó el 20 de julio de 1976 y el Viking 2 aterrizó el 3 de septiembre. Los instrumentos a bordo de las naves proveyeron información valiosa de la atmósfera marciana y de su superficie. Se llevaron a cabo experimentos biológicos, pero no detectaron ningún signo de vida o de ninguno otros compuestos orgánicos que son abundantes en la Tierra. El Viking 1 continuó transmitiendo fotografías y otros datos periódicamente desde la superficie marciana hasta noviembre de 1982, más o menos unos 6 años y medio después de su aterrizaje en 1976. Y el Viking 2 terminó cesó sus operaciones en abril de 1980. Esto que se muestra es un artículo de prueba para los ensayos antes de hacer los lanzamientos verdaderos. Por siglos la humanidad vio con envidia el vuelo de criaturas sobre sus cabezas, y el ejemplo de un pájaro planeando ha sido de enorme importancia para animar a nuestros ancestros en el deseo de volar. El vuelo en la antigüedad. El vuelo es uno de los sueños más viejos de la humanidad. Nuestros ancestros miraban en los cielos dioses con alas y héroes que volaban, que simbolizaban el deseo de todos los humanos de desplazarse por los cielos. Acá hay una escultura siria, un toro alado, una escultura de Babilonia, el dios egipcio Khenshu, Hermes, el mensajero de los dioses griegos, esto es una escultura hitita, y el objeto de Saqqara, que es una representación de un pájaro construido, descubierto, en 1898 en la tumba de un rey en Saqqara, y está fechado en aproximadamente 200 años antes de Cristo. Minerva, el interés en globos que surgió en Europa en el siglo XVIII, tuvo muchas expresiones de la Minerva. Fue diseñada por el aeronauta francés Etienne Robertson en 1803, completamente fantasiosa. La comunidad autosuficiente aérea de Robertson representaba las esperanzas con las cuales muchos europeos confiaban en un futuro brillante del viaje aéreo. Esto es una representación moderna de la concepción de Robertson. Está el globo en sí mismo, que tendría unos 46 metros de largo, de diámetro, y de seda cruda con goma. El gallo, símbolo de la vigilancia. Hay alas para adorno, tienen pequeños globos que son como chinchorros, telescopio, tiendas para los navegantes, velas, una bocina, cocina, cañones para señalización, un barril en el cual guardar comida, agua y vino, telescopio, incluso una iglesia. Este fue un místico sueco de 1714 que imaginó esta nave que tenía una cabina, tenía unos remos ayudados supuestamente con resortes, tenía también un tren de aterrizaje, y el único inconveniente es que este diseño jamás se construyó y por supuesto tampoco pudo volar. La herencia de Otto Lilienthal. se puede tener una comprensión en la práctica del vuelo solo por experimentos de vuelo reales. El prusiano alado Lilienthal hizo este deslizador y lo probó en 1894. Soñadores. En vista de la profundo deseo de volar, no sorprende que haya habido esquemas para la construcción de máquinas voladoras que han abundado a lo largo de todos los siglos. Aquí hay algunos de esos esquemas. Saltadores. Bueno, lo más loco es los intentos de aquellos que intentaban hacer vuelos saltando desde lugares elevados. Y acá hay algunos diseños de esa gente para hacer algo así como planeadores o deslizadores aéreos, desde los que se podía uno tirar desde alguna colina o alguna torre de práctica. Los molinos aparecieron en Europa alrededor del siglo XIII. Las cometas o barriletes venían de Oriente y la primera ilustración de un manuscrito europeo de 1326. Y un helicóptero simple pero pulsado tirando de una cuerdita a principios de 1325. Este dibujo de la Royal Library de Copenhagen es el más antiguo, la ilustración más antigua de un artefacto volador propulsado. Y el paracaídas apareció primero en el siglo XV, específicamente diseñado por un técnico italiano desconocido. Leonardo da Vinci puede ser considerado como el único que pensó sobre aeronáutica antes del siglo XIX y estuvo inspirado por el vuelo de las aves. Produjo muchos dibujos o esquemas ilustrando sus ideas del vuelo de las aves en dispositivos hechos por el hombre. Con ornitópteros diseñó una imitación de los pájaros y el dispositivo más conocido encontrado en los libros de notas de Leonardo era un helicóptero como un tornillo. Su influencia, sin embargo, fue mínima y dado que sus dibujos se extraviaron durante varios siglos. George Cayley puede ser o se ganó el título de padre de la navegación aérea y fue el primer hombre en aplicar métodos científicos a los problemas del vuelo. Publicó la primera concepción moderna de un aeroplano con sistemas separados para la elevación, la propulsión y el control. Además, diseñó y voló el primer modelo volante exitoso y construyó dos deslizadores de tamaño real a escala humana.
What's that?
Through the wonder of moving pictures, we're able to share with you a few recent feats of flight. Feats that we feel will show that flying is not only a wonder of our own time, but a wonder of all ages to come. So if you're ready, we'll roll the film. As you know, it was the Wright brothers of Dayton, Ohio, who first achieved the dream of flight. They learned to master the air by flying a number of ever more advanced gliders. On December 17, 1903, an airplane they simply called the Flyer flew. Others, Europeans and Americans both, followed the Wrights' success. Here we are on the Seine in Paris in 1905, looking at a float glider built and flown by the Frenchman Gabriel Voisin. In September of 1906, Alberto Santos Dumont, a Brazilian living in Paris, was the first to fly a powered airplane in Europe. Flying began to catch on. And Gabriel Voisin, along with his brother Charles, started to build and sell flying machines. An American copy of one of their planes is on display in our exhibition. When I was in Europe, I met a great many aviators who earned their wings on frail Voisin biplanes. Pilots like Henri Farman and Léon de Lagrange. Robert Esnault Pellery designed, built, and flew his own plane. In America, on July 4th, 1908, Glenn Curtiss won the Scientific American Cup in his famous June bug. But it really wasn't until 1908 and 1909, with flights by Wilbur Wright in Europe and Orville in the United States, that the air age truly began. As Wilbur Wright prepared his plane, the Europeans really didn't know what to expect. They were proud of their own abilities, but if the truth be told, were hard-pressed to make even short straight flights or simple turns in the air. Wilbur showed them what flying was all about. That's the crew, hoisting the weight that will catapult Wilbur into the air. And there he goes! In the spring of 1909, Wilbur continued his triumphal tour of Europe. At a large military parade ground near Rome, he demonstrated the operation of his Wright Flyer. As in France, he astounded thousands of spectators with the performance of his machine and the ease with which it could be maneuvered. He even found time to teach a selected few to fly. His first pupil was Lieutenant Mario Calderara of the Italian Army. By the way, watch that fellow running out behind the airplane. His job is to retrieve the device on which the airplane rode down the 60-foot rail. You know, these early Wright machines weren't easy to fly. With his left hand, the pilot controlled the elevator. That's the large surface in front of the machine that enables
Join a free highlights tour of the National Air and Space Museum. The 90-minute tour will begin in 10 minutes at the information desk in the Welcome Center near the Independence Avenue entrance.
Wilbur's month in Italy also marked the first time a motion picture camera was ever taken into the air. Here we see that first aerial film. Note the constant movement of the elevator, which, as I explained, controls the altitude of the machine. See the small string on the upper right there, occasionally flipping toward the camera? That helps the pilot judge whether he's climbing, diving, or flying to the right or to the left. Simple, but effective. While Wilbur was amazing our European cousins, Orville was thrilling an American audience, which included President William Howard Taft at Fort Myer, Virginia. not too many miles from where we're standing.
Join a free highlights tour of the National Air and Space Museum. The 90-minute tour will begin in 10 minutes at the information desk in the Welcome Center near the Independence Avenue
His
entrance.
plane, a Wright Type A flyer, became the world's first military flying machine. And it's on exhibit here today. That's Army Lieutenant Frank Long there with Orville. On the most important of the 1909 test flights, Orville and Lieutenant Benjamin Fulloy flew all the way to Shutters Hill in Alexandria, Virginia, and back, an amazing 10 miles. Yes, 1909 was a year of triumph for the Wright brothers. Not only were they successful in selling their airplanes to the Army, but they also inspired people everywhere with dreams about the future of their great flying machine. 1909 was the year of the first crossing of the English Channel by airplane. The dashing Hubert Latham was the first to try. He flew an Antoinette 4, a beautiful machine with an extraordinarily successful engine. Regrettably, Latham fell short of his goal and plunged into the channel. He later made another attempt, but again was unsuccessful. Though hobbled by a badly burned foot, Louis Blériot, a wealthy French industrialist, was the next to brave the channel's dangerous open water. He used his own Type 11 monoplane, a later version of which can be seen in our exposition. Blériot succeeded, and in so doing, demonstrated how quickly our world is shrinking. No longer was England an isolated island kingdom. Just think, my friends, of the commercial and military potential of a machine that is able to cover the 20 miles between Calais and Dover in only 37 minutes. By the way, I must tell you that these film scenes are recreated since no motion picture cameras were actually present to record Monsieur Blériot's historic flight. Blériot became a hero in England as well as in France, and he immediately received a flood of orders for copies of his monoplane. Please be sure to visit the Blériot Company's exhibit before leaving the hall. The remarkable year 1909 also saw the world's first great air meet, held in France at Reims. Tens of thousands of people came to enjoy the new sport of flying. Many were seeing their very first airplane. And oh, can you imagine their wonder? For never before had so many airplanes gathered in one place at one time. Pilots such as Delagrange, Farman, Latham, and Breguet became immediate heroes. Of course, Reims had its misfortunes too. There were several crashes, but happily, no fatalities. There's Eugene Lefebvre, a Wright pilot and one of the most famous of the early European flyers. But perhaps the hero of heroes at Reims was our own Glenn Curtis, carrying America's banner to victory in the James Gordon Bennett speed competition. Every day adds to the incredible tale of this gifted aviation pioneer. After the Reims meet, public excitement over aviation continued to grow. Here we see Henri Farman in an attempt to fly with 2 passengers. And here he is in his 1909 Farman 3 airplane. Samuel Cody, an American showman, flew in England. He built the first aeroplane purchased by Her Majesty's Armed Forces. Only 2 short years ago, in 1910, the Peruvian George Chavez gave his life in an attempt to fly the Alps. But his friend Gil Abuchik succeeded in a safe crossing just a short time ago. Here we see the crowds awaiting the landing of Alfred Leblanc, winner of the 1910 Circuit de l'Ouest, one of the great long-distance air races in our time. The race covered a circular course through eastern France, and Leblanc, flying a Blériot monoplane, covered the nearly 500 miles in just over 15½ hours flying time. A look at Leblanc Leblanc's face gives you some idea of just how grueling the race was. Jules Vedrine is one of the great speed flyers of our day. Here we see him at the finish of the 1911 Paris to Madrid race, as his Morane monoplane is brought to a stop, and Mr. Vedrine jumps down to accept the congratulations of his admiring public. Ladies such as Raymond de la Roche, the world's first officially licensed woman pilot, Hélène Dutrieux, and others, are demonstrating that they will not take a back seat in this new business of flying. That's Alphonse Pégoud, the great French stunt flyer, being strapped into his Blériot. Alphonse defies danger and the laws of nature with his loop-the-loops and his parachute jumps. Now take a close look at this. Have you folks ever seen a loop-the-loop before? Pégoud deserves the welcome he gets once back on the ground. There are many aviators making history in the sky. The race between Claude Graham-White and Louis Paulin from London to Manchester, England, thrilled the readers of the world's newspapers. Paulin won, but Graham-White's brave effort to close the gap by flying at night in fog and very bad weather endeared him to his countrymen. It's cold up there, folks. Notice how gingerly Graham-White removed his gloves. Yes, the flying machine has taken Europe by storm. Multi-passenger machines are now taking to the air, and new types of craft, like the hydro airplane, are becoming popular. Here, we see one Curtiss machine pulling away from the beach, while another runs up on the launch ramp. And back here in the good old USA, we're moving right along. Airplane exhibition teams, sponsored by major manufacturers like the Wright and Curtiss companies, and independent pilots as well, crisscross the nation. Here's Arch Hoxsey, one of the stars of the Wright team, in his Model B. And look, there's ex-President Teddy Roosevelt among the spectators. Arch was sure putting on a special show that day. Teddy never could pass up a challenge, and he just took off his coat and decided he wanted to go for a ride. I'll bet he startled a few people over that one. Teddy's put on a little weight since San Juan Hill, and these things aren't so easy to get into anyway. There we are, all set. And off they go. How many of you folks are ready to go up and see what it's like to fly? Well, Teddy seems to have enjoyed the ride. That's a Curtiss Model D headless pusher. Mr. Curtiss's company is selling quite a few of those planes, and they've become sort of a favorite of folks all over the country. Those of you who want can get a closer look at one of these planes in the exhibition hall. See those small surfaces between the two wings? They're called ailerons and are used to balance the machine. Oh, I'll wager you all know who that is. It's Lincoln Beechey, probably the most famous and daring stunt pilot of them all. Link has built a reputation not only for his daredevil tricks and maneuvers, but for his showmanship as well. One crowd pleaser is a race between Beechey and his airplane against one of the country's leading automobile speed demons. He often takes on Barney Oldfield, but this time he's pitted against Eddie Rickenbacker at the Iowa State Fair in Des Moines. Look at Link lap Eddie. It was really no contest, you know. That half-mile dirt track is far more to the liking of horses than racing cars. The plane can not only open it up down the straightaways, but can also bank into the turns at a far greater speed than the car. But it's all good fun. And sometimes link flies so low over the car that the driver can reach up and touch the wheel of the plane. Better take up flying, Eddie.
The original one is on display in the milestone.
Yes, the air age is upon us, ladies and gentlemen. So walk around, gaze in awe at the exhibit, feel the excitement of the new world of aeronautics, and dream with us of the future of the airplane. Now, as our pilot gives us a goodbye wave and we take an aerial look at Miss Liberty, let me, on behalf of the management, invite all of you to enjoy your tour of our show. Pilots like Henri Farman and Léon de la Grande. Robert Esnault-Pelterie designed, built, and flew his own plane. In America, on July 4th, 1908, Glenn Curtiss won the Scientific American Cup in his famous June bug. But it really wasn't until 1908 and 1909, with flights by Wilbur Wright in Europe and Orville in the United States, that the air age truly began. As Wilbur Wright prepared his plane, the Europeans really didn't know what to expect. They were proud of their own ability, but if the truth be told, were hard-pressed to make even short, straight flights or simple turns in the air. Wilbur showed them what flying was all about. That's the crew. As in France, he astounded thousands of spectators with the performance of his machine and the ease with which it could be maneuvered. He even found time to teach his selected few to fly. His first pupil was Lieutenant Mario Calderaro of the Italian Army.
Right, military flyer.
By the way, watch that fellow running out behind the airplane. His job is to retrieve the device on which the airplane rolls down the 60-foot ramp.
Well, that's planar. It's like, it's not that.
You know, these early Wright machines weren't easy to fly. With his left hand, the pilot controlled the elevator. That's the large surface in front of the machine that enabled it to climb or to dive. With his right hand, he operated both the rudder in back of the airplane and what we call a wing warping mechanism, allowing him to turn the machine and to balance it. Wilbur's month in Italy also marked the first time a motion picture camera was ever taken into the air. Here, we see that first aerial film. Note the constant movement of the elevator, which, as I explained, controls the altitude of the machine. See the small string on the upper right there, occasionally flipping toward the camera? That helps the pilot judge whether he's climbing, diving, or flying to the right or to the left. Simple, but effective.
We just saw this week. See this thing on a rail. See? So, gee, you saw an airplane just like you saw this in North Carolina, right? Yeah.
좀 더 가서. 아이, 얼른.
lightweight engines for airplanes. Airplanes, huh? Yeah, it's like come on, man. Let's go look at some of the other airplanes.
You say it's so good, what's it done, you ask? Some of the best pilots in the world have flown this type, starting with Louis Blériot's Maud Graham White, Earl Owington, John Roman Jones, and all made their reputations on this Blériot plane. Every person has an aeroplane like this one, when she flew the English Channel last year. This type has set quite a few altitude and distance records. Is there? You want to know why this is well, there are two different types of aeroplanes. Monoplanes like this one, and biplanes like the Wright, Curtiss, and Wagner you see over there. Generally, the monoplanes are faster than each airplane. Powered by the latest excellent seven-cylinder no-rotary engines, and a top speed of 68 miles per hour. Astonishing rate of 490 feet per minute.
Jeff, did you see that?
Outstanding design features, it may ideally suit
Great. Step up, right?
See why they made, like that.
Like,
Well, I was thinking,
only one way? Well, in spite of all stories you may have heard to the contrary, a properly constructed monoplane is just the same as a biplane. Don't forget, this machine does not employ ailerons. Developed here in America by the Wright brothers. Quick and precise roll control. This system is brilliant. Built only of the best materials, this aeroplane is easy to maintain.
They're called ailerons and are used to balance.
Everything from muscle
इसको देख ले
चलो Which terminal must
of 68 miles per hour and can climb at the astonishing rate of 490 feet per minute. Ladies and gentlemen who have just joined us, I'm here to tell you about the American Aeroplane Supply House located in New York. We handle the Blériot. In fact, if you're in the market for a ready-to-fly aeroplane, we can provide that too. Take this Blériot 11 behind me, for instance. This trim, high-performance monoplane is the latest in a long line of successful aeroplanes built by this eminent firm, going right back to the original Blériot, which flew the English Channel on July 25th, 1909. Yes, sir. You want to know why this aeroplane only has one wing? Well, there are two different types of aeroplanes, tame and biplanes. Powered by the latest of those excellent 7-cylinder Gnome rotary engines, it has a top speed of 68 miles per hour and can climb at the astonishing rate of 490 feet per minute.
Oh, it smells like fuel in here.
But ladies and gentlemen who have just joined us, I'm here to tell you about the American Aeroplane Supply House located in New York. We handle the Blériot 11 behind me here. This aeroplane has a number of outstanding design features that make it ideally suited for sport flying. Notice the sturdy wood framework. It's heavily
No, I don't know what this
planes like that.
They wanted to make动力很大，
就我上电是前面大风扇，然后后面压缩机，压缩燃烧室。
这是最早的涡扇发动机，不是我们的。
那就是涡扇嘛。
对，但是你这个涡扇的推力怎么行？像前面那个客机上那个大涡扇，就像是昨天讲的吹风的。你看它这个涡扇。
Landing gear is lowered. Now it's time to land. Flaps to the maximum extension to maintain lift while the airplane continues slowing. We hope you enjoyed your bird's eye view of the L-1011 TriStar. Thanks for watching. TriStar cruising at 630 miles per hour. On the back or trailing edge of the wing, you can see the inboard and outboard ailerons. They help turn the plane left or right. Now the pilot is slowing the plane, preparing to descend for landing. He has pulled back the power and is starting a right turn to enter the landing approach. In a right turn, both the outboard aileron and the inboard aileron move out, known as spoilers. These panels on top of the wing create drag. The spoilers come up in sequence until all the speed brakes are extended. Using the spoilers, the pilot quickly descends to approach altitude, having slowed the TriStar to about 265 miles per hour. So the airplane can fly at a slower speed, the front, or slats, and the back, or trailing edge flaps are extended. Watch them move out in the wings. The flaps go to maximum extension to maintain lift, while the airplane continues slowing. We hope you enjoyed your bird's eye view of the L-1011 TriStar. Thanks for watching. Imagine 39,000 feet above the ground in a Lockheed L-1011 TriStar cruising at 630 miles per hour. On the back or trailing edge of the wing, you can see the inboard and outboard ailerons. They help turn the plane left or right. Now the pilot is slowing the plane, preparing to descend for landing. He has pulled back the power to much speed, so he activates the speed brakes known as spoilers. These panels on top of the wing create drag. The spoilers come up in sequence until all the speed brakes are extended. Using the spoilers, the pilot quickly descends to approach altitude, having slowed the TriStar to about 265 miles per hour. So the airplane can fly at a slower speed. The front, or slats, and the back, or trailing edge flaps are extended. Watch them move out in the wing. The flaps, in combination with the slats, enable the wing to maintain lift while the plane is slowing down.
pilot without turning the airplane. This is accomplished totally by the wing without moving the nose of the airplane up or down. Notice what happens as the airplane approaches touchdown. The flaps continue to extend, serving two purposes. They help slow the airplane and at the same time develop more lift. The landing gear is lowered, now it's time to land. The flaps go to maximum extension to maintain lift, while the airplane continues slowing. We hope you've enjoyed your bird's eye view of the L1011 TriStar. Thanks for watching. L1011 TriStar cruising at 630 miles per hour. On the back or trailing edge of the wing, you can see the inboard and outboard ailerons. They help turn the plane left or right. Now the pilot is slowing the plane, preparing to descend for landing. He has pulled back the power and is starting a right turn to enter the landing approach. In a right turn, both the outboard aileron and the inboard aileron move up, forcing this wing down. Meanwhile, ailerons on the other wing move down, forcing that wing up and banking the airplane. As the airplane turns and starts to descend, the pilot does not want to build up too much speed, so he activates the speed brakes known as spoilers. These panels on top of the wing create drag. The spoilers come up in sequence until all the speed brakes are extended. Using the spoilers, the pilot quickly descends to approach altitude, having slowed the TriStar to about 265 miles per hour. So the airplane can fly at the slower speed. The front, or slats, and the back, or trailing edge flaps are extended. Watch them move out from the wing. The flaps, in combination with the slats, enable the wing to maintain lift while the plane is slowing down and descending. More control is needed at slow speed, so both ailerons and the outer spoilers all work together to tip the wing up or down as needed. Additional control of the L1011 is provided by direct lift control, which activates the inboard spoilers together, increasing or decreasing the lift required by the pilot without turning the airplane. This is accomplished totally by the wing without moving the nose of the airplane up or down. Notice what happens as the airplane approaches touchdown. The flaps continue to extend, serving two purposes. They help slow the airplane and at the same time develop more lift. The landing gear is lowered, now it's time to land. The flaps go to maximum extension to maintain lift, while the airplane continues slowing. We hope you enjoyed your bird's eye view of the L1011 TriStar. Thanks for watching.
Sure. What's too fast for me to read on? Choose the number of engines. Aircraft size and weight. Choose. Two keys. Push 1 for 2 engines, 2 for 3 engines, and 3 for 4 engines. How many engines? 3. 3? Okay, so press 2. Okay. Choose the engine location. Okay. Choose the engine on the wing, on the fuselage, fly blossom, and 2 engines on the aft.